Queridos amigos y queridas amigas, bienvenidos a Casa África. Me corresponde darles la bienvenida y desde luego pronunciar unas cuantas palabras, así que les pido benevolencia y generosidad para escucharme, y aprovechar esta mañana para hacer algunas reflexiones que todos casi seguro compartimos en su integridad, ¿no? Qué duda cabe que como primera medida le doy la bienvenida a doña Elcia Grandcourt, que es la directora para África de la Organización Mundial del Turismo, que es además una amiga de esta Casa África. Yo la he conocido recientemente, pero Casa África ha sido testigo de muchos de sus encuentros y aportaciones. En consecuencia, bienvenida y una vez más reiterarte que esta es una institución al servicio de los intereses del desarrollo y crecimiento social de los países africanos, no solamente de nuestro entorno más inmediato, sino también de otro entorno menos inmediato geográficamente. En segundo lugar, quiero darle también las gracias y lo hago con toda sensatez a la obra social de la Caixa. ¿Y por qué lo hago? Pues porque es colaboradora de este nuevo programa que Casa África promueve y que estamos denominando Foros Agenda 2030, tal como pueden ver en la pantalla. Es una institución financiera que ha respondido de inmediato a nuestra petición de colaboración. En consecuencia, no hacerlo me dejaría con mal sabor de boca, no hacer esta expresión de agradecimiento. Debemos poner de manifiesto que la relación de la organización que representa la señora Grandcourt, la Organización Mundial del Turismo y Casa África, bueno, son ya unos adolescentes con cierta veteranía, porque ambos han cumplido 10 años. Casa África ha cumplido 10 años. A lo largo de estos 10 años, Casa África se ha caracterizado para, con escasos recursos, pero una inmensa afán de trabajo por parte de quienes en ella desarrollan funciones, que ha llevado a que a lo largo de los años 200 o 250 actividades de muy distinta índole son protagonizadas por esta institución, consorcio constituido por el Ministerio de Exteriores del Gobierno de España, el Gobierno de la Comunidad Canaria y el Ayuntamiento de la ciudad de Las Palmas de Gran Canaria. En estos 10 años, en una feria de la que los españoles nos sentimos muy orgullosos, en una feria de turismo que es Fitur, Casa África, con la Organización Mundial del Turismo, ha sido capaz de poner en marcha y consolidar en el tiempo un foro que es Investur, conocido suficientemente por los profesionales, punto de encuentro de profesionales del sector turístico africano, europeo, y la coordinación que ha desarrollado Casa África ha permitido su consolidación en el tiempo. Pero esa consolidación requiere un mirar hacia adelante, un analizar aciertos, negligencias o proyectos que no se han podido realizar. Y en ese sentido, bueno, a finales de la semana pasada, con responsables de esta casa, he tenido la oportunidad de estar, pues, una vez más participando en una reunión en la que hemos intentado dar un paso más al frente para responder a los planteamientos que procedentes de los gobiernos de distintos países se nos han hecho llegar y que aún no hemos terminado de modular y en consecuencia no estamos en condiciones de poder definir. Investur se ha realizado cada año y se ha realizado en el marco de Fitur, como les he dicho. Se trata de uno de los proyectos más importantes y queridos de Casa África. Probablemente se trata de la iniciativa estrella de nuestra diplomacia económica. ¿Qué pretende Investur? ¿Qué es lo que pretendemos con ello? Pretendemos cumplir con la misión marcada por los sucesivos gobiernos españoles de acercar África a España, de ofrecer un espacio en el que se favorezca la creación y el refuerzo de las redes de contactos hispanoafricanas y los proyectos comunes. Desde que se celebró la primera edición allá en el año 2009, Investur se ha ido consolidando y ha ido adquiriendo una mayor visibilidad. Ha llegado a reunir a más de 1.500 participantes de 36 países africanos y ha servido de plataforma para la presentación en ella, en ese foro, de más de 900 proyectos distintos. También ha servido para poner de manifiesto y destacar la alta representación gubernamental de muchos países africanos en la persona de sus ministros de turismo, con lo que Investur o con los que Investur ha contado en todas las ediciones, llegando a alcanzar en determinado momento la representación de 25 ministros africanos en determinadas ediciones. Investur nace o nació de la realidad del mercado turístico internacional. Para nosotros los españoles, o para nosotros singularmente los canarios, no es nada nuevo si digo que España es el tercer país con mayor número de visitantes extranjeros. El tercer país del mundo con mayor número de visitantes extranjeros. Es conocido que España ha ido batiendo cifras récords de llegadas e ingresos en este sector año tras año. Investur ha ido alcanzando objetivos básicos. Investur ha pretendido ser el lugar en el que España pueda mostrar a sus socios africanos cómo aprender de nuestros éxitos, de los éxitos españoles, y también sacarles lecciones de fracasos y de negligencias, que de todo hay. Pero Investur ha servido para ofrecer una mano amiga a los países africanos con el objeto y la intencionalidad de colaborar en sus respectivos crecimientos y en sus respectivas mejoras sociales. Desde Casa África, y específicamente desde Investur, creemos que tenemos la capacidad para discernir entre lo que funciona y lo que no funciona en el sector turístico. Quizás es una expresión un poco petulante, pero bueno, la experiencia nos lleva a esa afirmación. Creemos que en el Estado español hay departamentos, en nuestra comunidad también, hay entidades académicas, sociales, empresariales con capacidad para discernir, digámoslo entrecomilladamente, entre lo bueno y lo malo, entre lo que ha sido eficaz y lo que no ha alcanzado el grado de eficacia deseable. Creemos, repito, que de nuestra experiencia, de la experiencia española en el sector, podemos estar en condiciones de discernir entre lo que funciona y lo que no funciona en el sector turístico. En España se ha recibido más de 80 millones de personas que nos han visitado por razones diversas, porque unas estaban interesadas en nuestra cultura, otras en nuestra gastronomía y otras en otros aspectos que no vamos a seguir enumerando. Por otro lado, África, ese continente inmenso, enorme, con más de 1.200 millones de seres humanos, con países en crecimientos espectaculares, a los que también podríamos hacer referencia, pero alargaría esta intervención. África, en su conjunto, recibió, según datos de la Organización Mundial del Turismo, más de 63 millones de turistas internacionales el pasado año. Es evidente que su industria turística no es uniforme, es diferenciada en cada país. Que África no es homogénea ni uniforme, menudo descubrimiento, ¿no? África es muy variada. África tiene muchas capacidades de desarrollo en muy distintos sectores. Y es evidente que, visto en su globalidad, la industria turística tiene mucho que avanzar, que probar y crecer en África. Sin duda, necesitan sus propias recetas. Nosotros pasamos del sol y playa a diversificar nuestra oferta en los últimos años. Aquí hay muchos profesionales del sector que podrían hacer muchísimas mejores aportaciones que la que estoy haciendo yo ahora en esta descripción. En España, esa columna fundamental de nuestro desarrollo turístico ha ido modulándose de distintas maneras. En África están empezando a explotar directamente opciones como el ecoturismo más sostenible y que reparta mejor la riqueza y las mejoras en el nivel de vida de las comunidades, generando empleo y oportunidades. Aunque los países africanos están encontrando sus propios caminos en el desarrollo de sus industrias turísticas, es indudable que podemos, si quieren que lo hagamos, podemos asesorarles, poner a su disposición nuestra experiencia empresarial, comercial y tecnológica y explicarles lo que no ha funcionado y lo que sí ha funcionado. Lo que sugerimos deberían hacer y lo que sugerimos no deberían hacer. Y todo ello desde la perspectiva de la generosidad, alejado del esquema totalitario del control desde superioridad. No, de iguales a iguales. Y de iguales a iguales se puede colaborar mejor que desde una élite hacia otra élite de inferior altura. No es ese nuestro planteamiento. Además de ello, en África se enfrentan actualmente a desafíos a los que nos enfrentamos también nosotros, pero de una manera más urgente, y me refiero al cambio climático. ¿En cuántas ocasiones en estos últimos meses he tenido la oportunidad de ser, y acéptenme el término, machacón, perseverante en materia de cambio climático? El cambio climático no es algo que le afecte a unos cuantos lugares del globo terráqueo. El cambio climático afecta a los más de 7.500 millones de seres humanos que residimos a bordo del globo terráqueo, en unas zonas de mayor intensidad, en otras de inferior, pero nos afecta a todos. El incremento de las temperaturas, las sequías más agudas, las lluvias, o por ejemplo acontecimientos como los que se han vivido hace algo más de un mes o 2 meses, en Mozambique, en Malawi, 2 ciclones consecutivos arrasaron el país o zonas del país. Las escenas en televisión de centenares y centenares de seres humanos que perdieron la vida, infraestructuras que fueron debilitadas, destrozadas, escorrentías, zonas inundadas, y así 2 ciclones consecutivos, uno una semana y el siguiente la semana siguiente. Los científicos más caracterizados que han analizado esos fenómenos pertenecientes al panel del IPCC de la ONU lo han achacado al incremento de la emisión de gases de efecto invernadero a la atmósfera generados en el calentamiento excesivo de las aguas del océano. El incremento de la concentración de CO2 en la capa más inmediata que alcanzó en aquella zona, según datos científicos rigurosos, que por cierto, les añado que el Observatorio Meteorológico radicado en las Cañadas del Teide, dependiente de la Secretaría de Estado de Medio Ambiente del Ministerio de Transición Ecológica español y con larga tradición de observación, fue uno de los que aportó los 420 partes por millón a las que acabo de hacer referencia y que aportaron otros observatorios. En consecuencia, el cambio climático que va a modificar nuestras estructuras, nuestras economías, nuestras maneras de vivir, requerirán para cualquier sector económico en desarrollo, requerirá ser tenido en cuenta. Es suficientemente conocido el incremento de la altura del nivel del mar. Hay islas de muy baja cota, y nos entendemos con este término, que corren el riesgo de desaparecer. Son muchos los motivos por los que los sucesivos gobiernos, desde hace 40 años aproximadamente, han ido aportando creatividad, estudios, se han ido acordando en las sucesivas conferencias de las partes. Me refiero a las partes, digamos, las COP, cuya terminología es muy conocida coloquialmente en la ciudadanía. Es decir, las sucesivas conferencias en desarrollo precisamente de las aportaciones científicas que han hecho que los gobiernos adopten decisiones potentes. Todos hemos leído decenas y decenas y decenas de artículos sobre la COP21 y la que se celebró en París a finales del 2015, la de Marrakech, la posterior, pero la humanidad ha ido sensibilizándose. Esas aportaciones incrementarán naturalmente los parámetros y los datos que deban tener los gobiernos para el desarrollo del sector turístico. Esta Casa África, como entidad de diplomacia pública y gestor de relaciones internacionales, y concretamente para las relaciones hispanoafricanas, esta casa ha tomado como referencia principal de su acción, y tal como empecé, haciéndole referencia y señalando la pantalla, la defensa, la implementación, la transmisión, la adopción de acuerdos sobre los objetivos de desarrollo sostenible de la Agenda 2030. Esta casa ha tomado la Agenda 2030 que nos marca una ruta, una línea directriz, y en esa línea nos encontramos. Y se ha recogido así en el plan estratégico por el cual nos debemos regir. Plan estratégico aprobado por el Consejo Rector de Casa África. Por definición, los objetivos de la Agenda 2030 son todos retos de carácter transnacional. Retos que se prestan y que incentivan a colaborar entre las múltiples partes con un claro enfoque en la construcción de un mundo mejor. ¿Quién no ha leído de los que aquí estamos? No ha leído también, como dije antes, decenas y decenas de artículos sobre la Agenda 2030. Pero en ella, en su objetivo número 17, está plasmada específicamente la necesidad de crear alianzas para su cumplimiento. Y ello constituye un eje central de la acción de la diplomacia pública, repito, de esta casa. Los valores fundacionales de Casa África están además alineados con lo declarado en su párrafo número 36 de las líneas que contienen el texto por el cual se creó esta casa. España es uno de los 150 países que aprobaron la Agenda 2030 en el marco de aquella histórica cumbre, ya histórica, del desarrollo sostenible en septiembre del 2015. 3 años después, en el 2018, el Gobierno de España reforzó ese compromiso con el Plan de Acción para la implementación de la Agenda 2030, con el nombramiento de un alto cargo español, doña Cristina Gallac, como alta comisionada responsable para ello, que asistirá a una de las sesiones de trabajo que hoy estamos abriendo. Hoy, con esta conferencia, repito, abrimos una línea directriz. Inauguramos el programa Foros Agenda 2030, un programa que nace a raíz de las prioridades del nuevo plan estratégico de Casa África, al que también he hecho referencia. Plan estratégico para el próximo trienio o para el trienio desde el 2018 al 2021 y que busca apoyar el cumplimiento de los Objetivos de Desarrollo Sostenible de las Naciones Unidas. El turismo y su importancia para África puede ser una herramienta eficaz para el desarrollo socioeconómico, para la reducción de la pobreza, para la creación de empleo, y España tiene la opción y la obligación de ser uno de los motores que colabore en el desarrollo del turismo en África. De ahí que desde Casa África hayamos elegido esta temática, la del capítulo 17, para inaugurar esta que será una serie de encuentros, de debates, de análisis, de distribución de información, una serie de foros Agenda 2030. Y en consecuencia, definidas estas rutas en el ejercicio de mi obligación institucional y agradeciéndoles a todos su presencia aquí y el que, desde luego, colaboren en esta línea directriz, tengo el privilegio de darle la palabra a doña Elcia Grandcourt, directora para África de la Organización Mundial del Turismo, que hoy nos proporciona el privilegio de estar con nosotros y de hacernos llegar las reflexiones que ella estime oportunas. Así que, doña Elcia, tiene usted la palabra.
Gracias, señor José Segura. That's as far as my Spanish goes. So, good afternoon, everybody. And thank you once again to Casa África, especially the director. As he mentioned, we just met a couple of minutes ago. I'm sorry, but for me, coming here, it's like coming home, because it's like coming to family. I've worked with the members of his team very closely, and I consider myself at home. And I'm happy to be here to have this opportunity to share with you a little bit what we have been doing, and also how we merge the SDGs into tourism in the Africa region. I would also like to share the greetings from our Secretary General, Zurab Pololikashvili, who, since he took office last year, he has been working very closely with the member states in order to be able to mainstream tourism in the African continent, but also to take stock of the challenges that the members are faced with. And later I will share with you his plan that he drafted together with the member states. And finally, I also want to add my thanks to La Caixa, which the director mentioned has been supporting this series of forum here. And I will straight away now go into the presentation that I had prepared. I think I need the clicker. First of all, I'm sure you know who UNWTO is. We are the World Tourism Organization. We are the United Nations specialized agency responsible for the promotion of responsible, sustainable, and responsible tourism. We promote tourism as a driver of economic growth, inclusive development, and environmental sustainability, and we offer support to the sector in advancing knowledge and tourism policies. Our priorities include, as I mentioned earlier, mainstreaming tourism in the global agenda, improving tourism competitiveness, promoting sustainable tourism development, advancing tourism contribution to poverty reduction and development, and also fostering knowledge, education, and capacity building. If you go onto our website, obviously you will be able to download our annual report and also the different publications that we have, for example, the barometer, where we are every quarterly also giving updates on the statistics of the tourism, not only for Africa, but for the world in general. Tourism is a sector that has experienced continued growth and deepening diversification to become one of the fastest economic sectors in the world today. And today, roughly 1 out of 10 jobs is created by the sector. It supports 10% of the world's GDP and also contributes 7% of the world's exports, as well as 30% of services exports. So when we look at it, tourism, therefore, is a sector that matters because it helps to create jobs, it drives exports, and also fosters prosperity around the world. If we look at the international tourist arrivals for the year 2018, we can see that international tourist arrivals worldwide increased 6% to reach 1.4 billion, consolidating the strong results of 2017 and proving to be the strongest year since 2010. Africa recorded a 7% increase in arrivals in 2018, bringing the estimated number of international arrivals to 67 million, which represents 5% of the world's total. And the growth was mostly led by North Africa, specifically countries like in the north of Africa, Morocco, Tunisia, that continues to recover and consolidate double-digit growth. This is principally because there was the lifting of the travel advisories. You may know that recently, over the years, Tunisia experienced quite a number of attacks in different ways. And now that they've been able to restore the confidence, the international stakeholders that they work with have returned back. The charter flights are now back. Europeans are starting to go back to Tunisia, and the travel advisories has been lifted. And we foresee that for the year 2019, there will still be an increase in terms of arrivals in the Africa region. And towards 2030, our projection shows that the arrivals in Africa will more than double to reach 134 million by the year 2030. Sub-Saharan Africa grew by an estimated 6%, with islands in the Indian Ocean such as Réunion and Mauritius, but as well as Cabo Verde, that posted robust growth. Kenya also recorded positive growth, mostly largely due to improved air connectivity to the country. And also sub-regional Africa, South Africa recorded a moderate growth, partly due to its strong currency as well. The Middle East showed a 10% increase, with international arrivals reaching 64 million, another 5% of the world's average. Again, I say if you'd like more information about the statistics, you can refer to our barometer, because this will give you quarterly updates on the situation around the world. Now, if I go to the main action lines of our work at the UNWTO, which fully converge with the scope of the 2030 agenda in placing tourism at the forefront of development, it has become critical for us to position tourism as a policy priority by strengthening policies and governance structures to ensure a resilient and well-defined framework for sustainable tourism development strategies. Our priority is to ensure that the members not only fully benefit from the services of the organization, but we also work with them towards expanding and strengthening the dialogues and also supporting them in mainstreaming tourism in their national agendas. And our 5 core priorities are making tourism smarter through innovation and digital transformation, growing our competitive edge through investment and entrepreneurship, creating more and better jobs through education and employment, building resilience and facilitating travel through safe, secure, and seamless travel, and protecting our heritage through social, cultural, and environmental sustainability. And this year, UNWTO has put a special focus on education, skills, and jobs. Through our UNWTO Academy, which you may know, I must stress here, we are the only specialized agencies that is based in Madrid, in Spain. And also the UNWTO Academy is based in Andorra. So we are very much present here in Spain, as you can see. And the UNWTO Academy is the education and training arm of the organization. And we are committed in advancing the quality and competitiveness and sustainability of tourism, human capital worldwide, through excellence in education and training. And our aim is to strengthen members' capacity in tourism education we offer various courses, be it online courses that are tailor-made to meet the request of our member states. And of recent, the strategy is to work with members from across the world to establish international centers that would enable us to have a permanent offer in education and training worldwide, but also offering online courses through our UNWTO Academy platform. This approach is fairly new since our Secretary General took office last year, because before, you may know, the Academy was known as Temis Foundation, but now it's been transformed through Academy, and these are the core priority areas that we'll be focusing on, of course, in responding to the members' requests, and because education also is very critical, especially in the tourism sector, for us to raise and create awareness. Now, if we move to the core substance of this presentation today, which focuses on the Sustainable Development Goals, which you know they are universal, and they are meant to provide countries with a unified vision on the pressing issues related to sustainable development. They represent a roadmap with catalytic potential to redefine policy and practice. It is also a universal call to end poverty, protect the planet, and ensure that all people enjoy peace and prosperity. Now, tourism is a sector that is very transversal. It cross-cuts across different economies, and we feel that the 17 SDGs all at least somehow is related to tourism. However, we are explicitly mentioned in 3 of the targets of the Sustainable Development Goals, which I've highlighted here. You can see target 8, which refers to decent employment, and target 12, which refers to responsible consumption patterns, and target 4, SDG 14, which refers to life below water. Therefore, with SDG 8, we aim by 2030 to devise and implement policies to promote sustainable tourism, which creates jobs and promotes local culture. With SDG 12, to develop and implement tools to monitor sustainable development, impacts for sustainable tourism, which creates jobs, promotes local culture and products. And Goal 14 by 2030 aims to increase the economic benefits to the small island developing states and the least developing countries from the sustainable use of marine resources and through sustainable management of fisheries, aquaculture, and tourism. Now, if we look closely at Goal 8, which refers to decent work and economic growth, it aims to achieve full and productive employment and decent work for all women and men by 2030. And this is very relevant for the tourism sector. As I mentioned, the sector is a sector that is very transversal. It has interlinkages with virtually all other economic sectors. And tourism produces profound and wide-ranging impacts across all dimensions of sustainable development. It contributes to the GDP. It helps to accelerate reform, creates employment, and fosters sustainable development. Tourism, therefore, is more than just a major part of the global economy. It is specifically seen as a means of furthering inclusive growth that is about increasing opportunities for all, based on the principles of equity and leaving no one behind. SDG 12, on the other hand, the main underlying concept behind sustainable consumption pattern is resource efficiency, and therefore decoupling and enhancing well-being can occur through a shift towards more sustainable consumption pattern, as the way in which societies use but also manage their national resources fundamentally shapes the quality of life. SCP is very relevant. Sustainable consumption pattern is very relevant for tourism as well. Given the growth forecasted for the sector is essential to accelerate the growth from the environmental impact and also to ensure a sustainable future. We also are conscious that when we refer to the sustainable consumption pattern, it is quite a complex concept, and therefore it has been important for us to break it down into more tangible elements for stakeholders to know where to take action and to be able to implement it. And it is for this purpose that the One Planet Network, which is an implementation mechanism for SDG 12, has been developed with a set of impact indicators. The One Planet Sustainable Tourism Program has the overall objective to enhance the sustainable development impacts of the tourism sector by 2030. By developing, promoting, and scaling up sustainable consumption and production practices that boost the efficient use of natural resources while producing less waste and addressing the challenges of climate change and biodiversity, as we heard the director mention earlier about these issues that is very pertinent for us to put emphasis on. And in March this year, UNWTO was appointed by the One Planet Secretariat, which is the UN Environment, for us to continue to lead the One Planet Sustainable Program for the period 2019 to 2022. SDG 14, Life Below Water, aims to sustainably manage and protect marine and coastal ecosystems from pollution, but also whilst enhancing conservation and the sustainable use of ocean-based resources. We have seen several efforts being made by countries such as the small island states, such as Cabo Verde, we can mention within the Africa region, Mauritius, Seychelles. They are all making a lot of efforts to develop and tap into the blue, what we call the blue economy, and as well taking initiatives to protect and conserve the marine ecosystem. Very recently, I also learned that Seychelles developed what they call the Blue Bond, whereby they encourage the youth to invest and take loans from banks to be able to invest into marine resources, fisheries, that would help to lead also to employment. So these are the areas where it impacts on tourism, because we know that within the tourism sector there are a lot of aquatic activities as well as cruises. Here I know you have a very strong cruise industry, but it is also important because this is all related to the tourism sector. And as I mentioned earlier, at the outset of his mandate, the Secretary General, he met with the African tourism ministers in several platforms, where we met during FITOUR, in Investour, to discuss principally what are the priorities that are occupying the member states in order to enable them to further develop their tourism sector. And we came up after the discussions with them with these 10 core priority areas. It's in no order of importance. It's just the ideas that they brought, where they would like UNWTO to put focus on when working with them. If I list just a few, promoting travel facilitation, connectivity and visa. And as you see, all these points, somehow we have shown where it relates to the SDGs. And point 2, which is very important because we just concluded in the month of March a very important conference whereby we brought together for the first time ministers of tourism and transport of Africa in Cabo Verde, where they discussed about the challenges that are faced with connectivity and visa issues. And we concluded with an action plan. It was not just a conference to discuss and have a declaration, but we concluded with an action plan, which is very much based on the work that the African Union also is carrying. When we talk about the Agenda 2063, they also recently launched the single African air transport market, which would help to ease a bit the flow of trade between the countries and also related to travel facilitation. Very soon in Ghana also we will be tackling the issue of empowering youth and women through tourism. This is also a very topical issue, as you know, nowadays. And we are also in the process of updating one publication that we have on global women in tourism, a global report on women in tourism, which we will launch also at this conference. So all in all, what we are saying is that these are the core priority areas that the members have tasked us to put attention to, in addition to the priority areas of work that we are already working on and I mentioned earlier, but also very important for us to always relate to the SDGs, because we are all working towards achieving the targets by the year 2030. And just to mention a little bit what are the recent activities that we've undertaken and the upcoming ones. The director gave an extensive presentation on Investour, For us, we hold this at heart because this is one of the flagship activity that we are doing with Casa África and IFEMA. And this year we celebrated the 10th anniversary. And now we are looking at ways to consolidate and go forward in order to be able to respond better to the demands of the member states, whereby they want to attract more investment to the continent. 2 years ago, we undertook a workshop that was hosted by Casa África here, and my two colleagues will later give a little bit more perspective on this workshop, because we realize also with Investour, in order to be able to support better the member states, we have to give them the capacities, to build the capacities, especially when they are going with the projects to the investors. We felt that this was where they lacked a lot. They didn't have the proper information. So the workshop was meant to give them a little bit more of a direction to better prepare themselves when they go looking for possibilities of support for their projects back in the continent. And as I said, Anna and Navin will later give us a better perspective on this workshop and the toolkit that we've now come up with. Promoting travel facilitation, also I've just mentioned about the conference that we held in Cabo Verde, and now members are willing to see this continue, so probably every 2 years we will have such a gathering of African ministers of tourism and transport to reflect and take stock where we are in terms of travel facilitation in the continent. But I think it's important also to mention here that there is a lot of progress that has been made, especially in terms of visa facilitation. A lot of countries now are moving towards issuing visas upon arrival, which makes it far easier for somebody who's thinking of going on a holiday. It has to be seamless, it has to be hassle-free. I mean, if you decide tomorrow you want to go to Kenya, you'd like to be able to go and purchase your ticket and know that you're going to be able to easily reach there first and foremost, but also at the point of entrance that you can go without any problems, enjoy your holiday and come back. So these are the various topics that are being discussed, not only visa, but also access, not only outside or coming into Africa, but intra-regional travel within the continent is very important, because ironically it was interesting to learn and hear from the ministers themselves, transport and tourism as well, that some coming from one country in Africa, they had to fly all the way to Europe and then go back to Africa. It's because we do not have the links, and when you look at the country, they just side by side. There's no reason why, if today we have been able to advance in other areas, that we cannot look at situations like this. And it's a lot of political will, getting the efforts together and having the right stakeholders around the table to discuss when it comes to the pricing as well, which is very critical, but also to be able to offer these services to the different tourist that wants to travel. And we also use this platform to launch our publication on visa openness report for Africa, because part of our work is also to help members in developing their visa policies. And over the past 10 years, we have been doing this with evidence-based policy making. And we also help them to prioritize activities to help them with the visa facilitation. Also, this report is available online. If you want to have a look at it, you are most welcome. I mentioned also about one of the key priority areas where we're putting emphasis and which relates to SDG 5, empowering on gender equality. And that's empowering youth and women through tourism. We're placing a lot of effort in contributing to promote gender equality. And the aim is to help enhance the opportunities for women's participation in the workforce, women's entrepreneurship, but also leadership role of women in executive positions. Because from the study of the report that we are doing on women in tourism, we can see that we still lack a lot when it comes to having the data or the figures for women in this sector. So we are hoping that by November we will have concluded with this, and we will have a little bit more data to share with you on this topic. The aim also is to raise awareness on the key issues regarding women entrepreneurship and empowerment in tourism, especially putting focus on young women and also identifying the power imbalances. We also encourage mentoring and promote education and training of women, and also to promote and advocate training facilities and hospitality schools. To that effect, also, we've created a leadership task force group, which is composed of several African women ministers and the private sector stakeholders, that has been created to initiate programs for women's participation in the tourism workforce. And the overarching vision of the global report that I mentioned is really to promote women's empowerment and and protect women's rights through better tourism work. So maybe I'd take a moment to do a little sales pitch here and say, pen that in your diary, maybe if you want to be with us in Ghana in November, because this is where we're going to be discussing this very important topic. And here, just to give you a little bit of overview, as I said, our work at UNWTO has principally two aspects. There is the political aspect, of course, but more of the technical aspect, whereby we give assistance to our member states in various areas where they ask us the support, be it in tourism statistics and quality standards, marketing and promotion, crisis communication. These are all the areas that we are supporting our member states. Of course, different countries are at different levels, and different countries, the needs differ from one or the other. And since last year going through to this year, these are the countries that we are already engaged with them, as listed on the screen here, whereby we have several projects related to technical support and assistance that they've asked from us. And just to conclude, it is clear we can see that tourism can play a huge part in helping to achieve the SDGs. And UNWTO, as I say, will remain committed to provide the global tourism community with a space to come together, to also to realize the 2030 agenda through the tourism, what we've called the Tourism for SDG platform. The platform basically has been developed to promote best practices as well as knowledge for achieving the 2030 agenda through tourism, and also to demonstrate the commitment in advancing the SDGs both at the national and global level. And the key features of the platform is learn, share, and act. And this is meant to inspire all the stakeholders to provide a dialogue in the tourism sector towards 2030, building a smarter, competitive, and inclusive sustainable sector. And I will conclude here by inviting you to watch this short video of 1 minute, whereby again we invite you to join us on this platform by sharing the different activities that you feel is related and may contribute towards achieving the SDGs. So if we can have the video, please. So thank you. There you are. I think maybe you are more convinced now. I mean, this country depends a lot on tourism as well. But this is the core business that we have, is to always be promoting the sector. Thank you.
Ahora vamos a pasar a un poco la siguiente parte, al que Elcia ya hizo mención. Básicamente queríamos comentarles un poco sobre el manual que realmente se lanzó hace 2 años, bueno, a iniciativa conjunta coordinada por Naveen Kemlani, y fue el resultado de un taller que se le dio a los países miembros, sobre todo los principales técnicos y funcionarios que trabajan en los ministerios de turismo africanos. Tuvimos unos 15 países representados, con lo cual la acogida fue bastante interesante. Y bueno, el manual lo tendrán accesible probablemente en unos días en la página web de Casa África y también en la propia página web de Industria. Si bien es en inglés, pero entendemos que para aquellos que se dedican a la inversión turística no debe ser mucho problema. Si no, por favor nos lo hacen saber e intentaríamos traducirlo. Y bueno, no voy a entrar en detalle sobre lo que versa el manual porque Naveen se va a encargar de entrar más en detalle, pero comentarles el título, aunque es un poco largo, pero bueno, se llama Buenas prácticas para el diseño y la ejecución de proyectos de inversión en turismo sostenible, en este caso en África, pero si bien creo que es bastante extrapolable a cualquier otro lugar del mundo, teniendo en cuenta que la sostenibilidad pasa a ser fundamental hoy en día, tal y como ha comentado en detalle mi director. Y bueno, esta guía básicamente está destinada a proporcionar a los profesionales del sector público y privado que trabajan en el desarrollo del sector turístico con la orientación necesaria para poder preparar un proyecto sostenible y lograr así la financiación por parte de agencias internacionales, inversores privados o bien una combinación de ambos. El manual pretende ofrecer una guía completa y el apoyo necesario para desarrollar proyectos que se quieran presentar en diversos foros, como por ejemplo Industria, que ya lo hemos citado, o bien cualquier otro tipo de inversor. Desde nuestro punto de vista, la inversión en el continente africano, del tipo que sea, nacional o extranjera, es fundamental para poder alcanzar un mayor desarrollo y, por supuesto, generar puestos de trabajo en el sector. Sin embargo, queremos destacar que desde aquí abogamos para que esa inversión sea sostenible y, por supuesto, tenga en cuenta el cumplimiento de derechos humanos y tenga también en cuenta el cambio climático. En España, como sabemos, hemos conocido una inversión turística muy fuerte en los últimos años, pero también se han cometido muchos errores de los cuales sería bueno que nuestros países vecinos puedan aprender. Así que España, como líder en turismo, tiene un know-how transferible para que los países de nuestro entorno, siempre que quieran, puedan aprovechar. Este manual, que como les dije estará accesible próximamente en formato electrónico, trata asuntos además como las tendencias en la inversión en el sector turístico o cómo hacer un buen análisis de mercado. Y también está centrado en las diferentes fases para el diseño y la implementación de proyectos de inversión en este sector turístico. Además, toda la introducción habla un poco sobre lo que Elcia hacía mención en su presentación, como son las tendencias y la situación actual de turismo en el mundo y más en concreto en el continente africano. Así que les invito a leerlo si tienen ocasión y sin más, le cedo la palabra a Naveen Kemlani, que ha coordinado la publicación. Muchas gracias.
Buenas tardes a todos o buenos días. En primer lugar, agradecer a Casa África y a la Organización Mundial del Turismo por la organización de este foro, también por permitirme participar desde el año 2017 con ellos en esta guía que les voy a presentar hoy, que he coordinado junto con estas dos instituciones y con IFEMA. El primer mensaje que quiero lanzar es: esta guía sirve para minimizar riesgos a la hora de invertir en África en el sector turístico. Está estructurado desde el punto de vista del inversor que quiera entrar en el sector turístico en África, pero también para el sector público que quiera evaluar proyectos o incluso promoverlos. Está dividido en 7 fases que ven ahí, que iremos desglosando ahora, para que vayan accediendo al contenido y en unos días podrán leer la guía al completo. Esta guía pretende ser una herramienta de trabajo, como dije, para el sector público y sector privado, con muchas horas de investigación, que incluye 5 entrevistas a empresas o instituciones del sector, que iremos nombrando ahora, 7 casos de estudio de instituciones internacionales, 5 recursos o 5 plantillas que puedan ustedes utilizar, o el inversor africano o el inversor extranjero que quiera entrar en África, más de 50 referencias bibliográficas y 12 gráficos, en un total de 75 páginas. La primera fase a la que voy a hacer referencia, si se fijan en la imagen anterior, el avión y el pasaporte significa que tanto el inversor como el turista quieren entrar en África. Y tal y como nos ha adelantado doña Elcia Grandcourt, el sector turístico en África va a crecer y mucho. Por lo tanto, lo dijo el ministro de Agricultura en funciones el otro día, pero se aplica a cualquier sector: es el momento de África. Es el momento de estar, es el momento de estudiar oportunidades de inversión y de negocio en África, en cualquier sector y sobre todo en el sector turístico. La primera fase a la que hacemos mención en el manual es la identificación y tendencia de demanda. Lo primero que tenemos que hacer es analizar la situación a nivel global, en temas de situación macroeconómica, tanto a nivel global como a nivel africano, y cuál es la tendencia del sector a nivel mundial y a nivel africano. En este capítulo, o en esta fase, se incluye la entrevista a Rafael Gallego, que es el presidente de la CEDAP, que aporta su visión de cómo ven las agencias de viaje, el sector de agencias de viajes para África, cómo ven las agencias de viaje, y analiza el tipo de turismo que necesita España, tanto el turista como el inversor turístico. En la segunda fase analizamos las claves del clima de inversión. Cualquier inversor, cualquier institución pública debe analizar este hecho. Desde el punto de vista del sector privado, si me voy a jugar el dinero, tengo que ver si me permite entrar con garantía. Y desde el punto de vista público, ¿qué mejoras tengo que hacer para que entre el sector privado a invertir? En este caso, se aportan recursos como el índice de competitividad del World Economic Forum, que lanza el informe cada 2 años. El último es del 2017, el del 2019 caerá en el último trimestre, supongo. Analizamos el nuevo tratado de libre comercio de África, que, como dijo doña Elcia Grandcourt antes, el turismo también fomenta exportaciones y cómo afecta al turismo. Analizamos, por supuesto, la guía del UNCTAD del informe mundial sobre inversión extranjera y cómo está en África. Y Ryu, en una entrevista también que está incluida en esta fase, analiza cuáles son sus perspectivas para el mercado africano, y de hecho hace poco anunció una inversión en Senegal de unos 150 millones. En la tercera fase analizamos ya cómo esa idea inicial que tiene el emprendedor o el promotor público tiene que plasmarla en papel, en un proyecto. De la idea, teniendo en cuenta esa situación macroeconómica, esa situación del sector, ya tengo que plasmarla en papel. Y analizar el nicho o el segmento al que me voy a dirigir dentro del sector turístico. se incluye en este capítulo, en esta fase, herramientas como la del IFC, que es el Instituto, la Corporación Financiera Internacional del Banco Mundial, que ofrece bastantes herramientas para analizar el sector y qué recursos ofrece el Banco Mundial a través de este brazo financiero del grupo del Banco Mundial para invertir en el sector turístico. Y aparte se incluye una entrevista al CEO de la cadena Salai, que es la primera cadena de África Occidental creada en Mali, que cuenta con unos 3.000 empleados de forma directa e indirecta por toda África Occidental. Un ejemplo y un referente en esta subregión. En la fase 4, una vez que tengo la idea ya plasmada en papel, tengo que saber si es viable o no viable para tomar decisiones. Y en este caso, le agradezco a Pablo Landrau que haya participado en una entrevista explicando cómo decidieron entrar en el mercado caboverdiano operando los vuelos interinsulares como hacen aquí en Canarias. Necesitamos hacer estudios de previabilidad que son más baratos que los de viabilidad y que nos permitirán tomar decisiones si implemento el proyecto, si tengo que hacer algunas enmiendas al proyecto o me dedico a otra cosa. En la fase 5, una vez que ya decido implementar el proyecto, necesito preparar información comercial para captar inversión. Sin esa información comercial es imposible, y en esto nos extendemos mucho porque es algo que, como doña Elcia Grandcourt decía, había necesidad, y ya llevamos 2 talleres, 2 workshops explicando esta materia, porque los promotores africanos es donde más flojos están. Te traen carpetas enteras con todo el proyecto, con el estudio de viabilidad hecha, pero no tienen un dossier comercial o incluso un documento de confidencialidad antes de transmitir esa información. Son pautas que mostramos a seguir para minimizar riesgos tanto para ellos como para el inversor, y definir un plan de marketing y un plan de acción y ejecutarlo para captar esa inversión, porque después de la crisis financiera de 2006, 2007, 2008, es verdad que hay menos acceso a capital, que los bancos han endurecido las condiciones de acceso al crédito, pero hay otras muchas líneas de financiación que desglosamos en esta fase 6. Desde Business Angels, fondos soberanos, capital de riesgo, presupuestos nacionales incluso, que cada vez más, gracias al trabajo de la OMT, entre otros, los ministerios de turismo ya cuentan con un plan nacional turístico y con un presupuesto asignado. Les permite invertir y captar inversión. Y por último, tenemos que siempre, una vez implementado el proyecto, ver si estamos cumpliendo con los objetivos que nos hemos marcado en ese proyecto. Y para ello tenemos que elegir los parámetros correctos de evaluación, porque si elegimos uno al azar, estamos midiendo cosas que se desvían a lo mejor de nuestro objetivo, porque el turismo tiene un impacto social, económico y medioambiental incluso, como mis antecesores han dicho, con el cambio climático, con el riesgo de inundaciones, con la sequía, reducen la brecha de género, porque no hay un sector que emplee más mujeres comparado con otros, y además las mujeres africanas son emprendedoras. Según el índice Mastercard, Costa de Marfil, en Costa de Marfil el 63% de los negocios pertenecen a mujeres. Las mujeres africanas son emprendedoras y el turismo les puede dar una herramienta o un acceso a ser independientes económicamente. Por último, dar otra vez las gracias a la OMT y en especial a Elcia Grandcourt y a su equipo, a Ana Cárdenas y a su equipo en Casa África, al director, por dejarme participar desde el año 2017 en los 2 talleres que hemos impartido a unas 50 personas de más de 15 países, tanto en Las Palmas en octubre de 2017 como en abril 2019 en Costa de Marfil. Como les dijo Ana y Elcia antes, estará disponible en unos días y a su disposición. Gracias.
Ahora podemos pasar a las preguntas, si tienen alguna para Elcia o para alguno de
nosotros. Hi, good morning. I'm going to make the question to Elsie first. I have the great opportunity when I was studying business of studying tourism sustainability as well, and I have continued working a little bit between sustainability and the tourism sector, and nowadays I try to gather the whole knowledge to help private companies to become sustainable. What I recall at that time is more or less what I've been studying and advising through using the Sustainable Development Goals as a framework to explain what is needed. But I still find the same behaviors from the businessmen and from the employees themselves. I mean, in general, the rules, the advice, how can I say? El reglamento are thank you. The regulations are in place. They are complied with in document-wise and in internal procedures. That was the expression. But even the employees find it hard to accomplish or to make them happen. And that it has been more or less the same type of issues like 20 years ago and nowadays. I would like to hear from a global and bigger perspective, why do you think is the reason of that happening? What have we missed during these 20 years? What is that we didn't do? We have definitely done a great work from the public institutions. Even the private companies has incorporated a lot of those good practices. Thank you. But what have we missed so we hadn't reached that what we haven't been promoting for 20 years? Thank you.
Well, I will try to answer your question because I totally agree with you that a lot has been done in this aspect. But when we talk about change, it takes a while also to happen. We need to be constantly encouraged. We need to create awareness. We need to have the different outlets there to educate the people, because it's not just the big enterprises that will make the change. I think the change starts with ourselves, be it at home, in the families, and then it goes out to the workspace. But precisely why the effort is ongoing. We've achieved a lot. There's a lot of strides that has been achieved. Some has started later than others. But I think the general idea for us, what we try to do is to continue to encourage and cultivate that culture. It will take time, yes, but I think slowly we are getting there. There are some countries that in certain aspects they are close to achieving the targets in terms of the percentage, but I think this is where those that have not started is where they are looking at the mistakes that the others have done or what not has yet been done and try to look at new ways. But I think it's a general consensus that everybody has to take and everybody has to do its part, because it cannot happen by itself. If today we talk about waste management, for example, it has to be everybody that is in it. We've now seen there is a big wave that is happening across the world where countries are saying that we're banning use of plastic, for example, use of straws. But it doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot, and it's not just the consumer, but it's a two-way traffic. So I think it's a concerted effort, And our role is to continue to use the various platforms, the various studies and researches that are out there to continue to encourage the general population. But I totally agree with you. There's still a lot to be done. Though we've achieved certain miles, there's still a lot to be done, and we are still learning also along the way, because there are so many mistakes also that has been made that now we have to correct it, but it takes a lot of effort. I don't know if this generally answers your question, but the baseline is that we still need to continue the work that we are doing, and in the hope that we will hit the target, even if it's not fully achieved by the year 2030, but at least we will know that a lot has been done, because as I say, different institutions, different countries are at different levels. Yeah.
Hi. Hello. First of all, I would like to say thank you and congratulations to Ms. Grandcourt for the presentation that she has done, also to Naveen. And I would like to make a very practical question regarding the transport sector. Okay, I work in the regional airline of the Canary Islands. We are actually connecting to 10 destinations in Africa. We are growing. Our plan is to keep on growing. And we follow up kind of the ways that you have been showing. And there are some points where I see that we could maybe have improvements, and that the public sector could always help. And it is pretty much related with the point 2 that you had in your agenda for Africa, which was promoting travel facilitation. Okay, and in there you were talking about 2 points, which were connectivity and visa. Okay, both of them are really important matters for a transport company as we are. So, but in my view, connectivity has a lot to do with the possible profitability that a route can have. So that means the destination, is it attractive or not? So the promoting is important. Also, what is the cost to arrive in there? Is this going to be a route that is going to have a good load factor, so I can maintain this in the future? Because if not, we have a lot of cases where someone tries, the load factor is not enough, they have to then come back, and that's are always things that complicates the operations. And also regarding the visa, that has been long time ago a problem in some countries, and we see that there are some changes going on regarding the price of the visa, and that is also helping a lot. But regarding the decision, the concept of cost in a more general overview would have to add also 2 other aspects that has an impact, a real huge impact on both profitability, so that touch connectivity, and the decision of someone to go. That okay, he now has more facilities regarding the visa matters, but he still has this one, and I mean taxes and costs of operations. And this is something that we are kind of struggling in some of the countries that we have, because I think that almost all of the African countries, I mean, as we do in Europe, has some tourism potential. In example, we could talk even about in Mauritania. When I talk with the Minister of Mauritania, she talks about the ecological tourism, and normally we think like it's not the typical country where you think on tourism, but it could happen. It could be that we have small niches that go to every country because of this tourism matter. But then we come again to this cost and taxes, and in that line, I can talk about Mauritania, I can talk about Senegal, but I can also talk about Ghana, Côte d'Ivoire. So this is happening in many countries. I'm talking about taxes and cost of operations that go above the 150 euro per ticket so at the end of the day, even if we I mean, unless one day we have the low-cost companies going in there, then you would be paying more taxes than price of tickets. But actually this is a problem because the tickets goes in terms of prices too high. And that touches directly what we were talking about, the competitiveness of the destination. If I'm in Spain, but going to Santo Domingo or to Mexico, cost me almost nothing in terms of taxes and cost, because there you can pay 14 euro, 15 euro, 10 euro, as it happens also here in the Canary Islands. We get 14 million tourists, but all these costs of taxes and operational costs are really small. So that helps the final price that the client is going to pay. And this is taking a big problem in some of the countries where we want to enter. I mean, we are talking about future plans, and we are looking to, let's say, Ghana, let's say Côte d'Ivoire, and this is directly related to the decision of why don't we try? Yeah, but we don't know about the load factor, but we know that the price is going to be like kind of 600, 650 euro at the minimum price, and that doesn't help. So my question was related to, in terms of when we talk about competitiveness, or when you are in the point two of promoting travel facilitation, are you counting somehow on these costs and taxes that some countries are putting in place and that are not helping too much the development of tourism?
Okay, thank you. I think your comments are very relevant, because these are the very kinds of discussions that came out of the recent conference that I mentioned about in Cabo Verde. And if I may say, for us, our work doesn't go into the details of where we dictate about the pricing. We talk about the policy on a policy framework level, but the dictating of the price is, you know yourself, it's the market that dictates. And of course, there are all these issues of the different pricing that are there. We continue to encourage the members to work towards that direction. But what also came out of that conference is clearly to see that you need to have the political will, and also the collaboration on a bilateral level between countries. For example, some countries were saying they have the agreement signed between the countries to operate, but at the end of the day, the implementation part of it is what stops. But where is the real problem? Everybody's trying to protect. If you talk about in the case of national airlines, everybody's trying to protect their own national airline, for example. So these are all the issues that are out there that needs to be addressed, and precisely why we try to bring the different actors together to at least come to an understanding or an agreement, because the Yamoussoukro decision, the framework has been there since it was signed. So many countries have agreed and signed to it, but the implementation part has not been fully achieved. And now on top of that, we have now the single air transport market, which they are in the hope that it will help to ease a little bit, because it is part of the framework of the Yamoussoukro decision to try to help member states amongst themselves to be more open and to look at the issues of taxation, because it's all related to your fuel prices. You know this better than me, lending fees, etc. So all of this has to be taken into account, but there really needs to be an open and frank discussions between the different stakeholders that are there, and have also the will to be able to go to the implementation part of it. But these, we are conscious, these are the topics that are very topical, and that's why with that conference, what we tried to help support the members is to come up with this action plan that looks at maybe the different regional bodies that could help give the support to some of the countries. But again, the onus will be on each individual state taking making the effort. Again, such as you say, when it comes to visa facilitation, there are a lot of countries that are more reticent to go into the direction of being more open, because they think of other issues such as security issues. But each and every country has to look at their own specificities. But the trend, though, we see that more and more are going towards visa on arrival or electronic visa issuing. But the continent still remains very much closed, though, as I say, if you take a look at the report, you will see it's not only Africa, it's across across the board around the world, and a lot of reciprocity also comes in. Sometimes you see in terms of visa facilitation, if a country is issuing, then you can see, or under regional blocks, like for example, you see the East African Community. They've created the Casa visa, which is the uni visa. If you go to one country, for example, you land in Zambia, you can easily move to Zimbabwe. But again, the framework, the guidance, we can be there to give, but the actual implementation of it has to be on each of these countries or the different partners that are there. Generally, yes, we keep on discussing, but everybody is realizing it's high time we move to the next phase of really pushing to implement. And it takes one or two to take the strides and the others to follow. But again, there are still so many other things to take into consideration. You have to do your market research, as you say, to know whether it's viable for you to put a flight. Do you put one flight per week? Because in aviation term, I'm not an aviation expert, but they tell you one flight is no flight. You have to have at least 2 or 3 to at least to have the viability of it. And then the marketing goes hand in hand, because you have the product, yes, but if it's not known, people will not go. Because how many of us in this room really know a destination like Cameroon, for example, if I would just pick one, you know, and yet there is a lot of things to see and experience, from the culture, from the food, from the gastronomy, the music, but it's not known. So that's why we continue to encourage the members to take the avenue to promote what they have. But also you need all the different actors also to take their responsibilities. It's unfortunately, I think it's discussion that will have to would be ongoing for a while before we really get to where we want to go. I mean, we all pray for the day, or we look forward to the day we will have a low-cost carrier operating in Africa. You have Southern Africa, probably Kulula, or I don't know what subsidiary is there, but still the price is still high. Sometimes it's even cheaper to come to Europe than to fly within the continent. So these are the preoccupations that the leaders has to take stock and try to see how really we get to a solution. But at least the discussion has been engaged and it's ongoing.
Let me add some point on that. In the 2 workshops that we have done, I have included a chart where I compare destinations. I always tell them in the 2 workshops, I need a holiday. I'm going from Madrid to Africa in 1 week with my family that finally has agreed to go to Africa, and I need holidays. I compare like 15, 20 destinations where I put the price from Madrid. I tell them I will take only direct flight. I include if I have to do overnight or not to reach to the final destination, the price of the ticket, and if I need visa. And as public servants comes to those workshops, they get shocked because they are not aware of how difficult it is to get to Africa from Spain, for example. So these things will be useful for them to raise that awareness, to change things, to implement corrections, and get easily the visas and improve their connectivity and lower the taxes and lower the final price.
Yeah, I would like to ask, do you have any kind of opportunity for the private sector? I mean, your agency is working with the private sector, or do you have specific programs for the private sector? For example, here in the Canary Islands, we have a very important know-how in tourism. How can we be involved in the activities that you are implementing? And for Naveen, I would like to ask also, which are the type of projects that you are seeing that could be demanding your guide?
Okay, I think it's a very important question you raised because today we are the only specialized agency of the UN that has both the public and the private sector. We work primarily with member states through the Ministry of Tourism, but we also have a department, what we call the affiliates department. And this is where we have all the private sector members from various sectors. I mean, tourism, but mainly it could be from tourism agencies, it could be organizations, it could be universities. So we have a department that caters for, and majority of the companies that are members there are mostly Spanish because we are based here. But we also encourage other countries to be part of this program. In fact, when Navin and the other colleagues went to Côte d'Ivoire this year, our director of affiliates was there with them because we are trying to encourage more private sector companies from the Africa region to join the affiliate department. I can give you more details. It's very easy to be part of, to be an affiliate member. You primarily what you will need will be a letter of endorsement from the tourism ministry of the country where you come from. And then there is a process, obviously, because we are guided and governed by our General Assembly. So first of all, when you submit and you've met the criteria, this will go to the Executive Council, and then once the Executive Council has looked at the application, they endorse it, but then it has to be approved and ratified at the General Assembly. In fact, we just met 2 weeks ago, the Executive Council in Azerbaijan, whereby there is a certain numbers of new companies that are joining the affiliate program, and they would be approved now in our General Assembly that takes place in Russia in September. So if you're interested, I can even share with you, we have like a fact sheet that really tells you what are the benefits, but I think it's a very interesting platform as well, because as you say, you can share the knowledge not only between but with countries beyond, and we've developed different prototypes that helps to promote the gastronomy, for example, wine tourism, and all these very niche markets. So yes, to answer your question, we do have this program, and you are welcome to explore and join.
The type of projects I have seen in these 2.5 years or 2 years, it's quite various, from the small touristic agency that want to prepare guide visits to certain regions, specific sites, to big investments in hotels that I forgot to thank Grupo Cordial, for example, that host in 2017 manages a hotel in Gambia. And this type of projects, I have seen PPP projects, I have seen direct investment projects, small projects I have seen, and even IT projects. As you know, African ecosystem is booming, and in terms of IT is certainly amazing how they have entrepreneur financial solution for every sector, including the touristic sector.
Okay, if I can add here, infrastructure developments, etc., because what we're trying to encourage also that touches, for example, waste management. That's why this year within Invest2 we invited, we had 5 startups, young African entrepreneur that really is trying to make a difference within the tourism sector, and their projects really spanned from tour operating to sports in tourism, and basically it was to give them a platform in order to be able to share what they have been doing, and now they're at the point where they need to scale up their business and need to have more capital invested, and it's not only in the Investor platform that we are doing this. When the Secretary General took over also last year, we created a department that specifically looks at innovation in digital transformation, because this is really the way forward. So a lot is being done in this regard as well. I have a colleague that looks specifically at this, and we've launched several competitions in various parts of the world to encourage the young people to especially develop new solutions within the tourism sector, and we've had a good response. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, during the General Assembly we will consolidate everything that has been done for now to take stock, but also to encourage the different countries and then cross-share the experience. But for the Africa region, this is what we did during Investor with the young startups, and now they having the opportunity actually in the month of July to come back to Spain, and with the IE Business School they are getting more possibilities to get training in order to be able to manage their business better. But with the workshop we did here, I think it has helped also a lot, and because it made us realize that yes, the members, they needed to have that direction in terms of the quality of projects and the types of projects that was being presented at Investor.
Por medio de nosotros o directamente poder dirigirnos a la OMT y continuar con lo que quieran profundizar. Pero bueno, muchas gracias.